Hello, everyone, and welcome to Perspective, the podcast from the Mobile Ecosystem Forum, where we have the chance to speak at length this time with one of the people that are shaping the industry we live in the mobile ecosystem. And this week, we talk about the root, if you want, for MEF, which is the mobile entertainment area, and much more, I would say, by now. But that's what it is being known for. It's a mobile entertainment, and we do it with a company that has really shaped in terms of our membership, what we're doing, and somebody that has been there since, I would say, the very beginning of this industry. He can talk about all the things that he's seen. And that person is Alexis Bartelds, the co-founder of Some Media, and previously, as we'll see, working in mobile operators and content producer as well for the mobile industry. So plenty of history to go through. Welcome, Alexis, to Perspective.
Thank you so much, Dario. It's a pleasure to be here and having this conversation.
Alexis, you are in Amsterdam today while I'm in London. Is that true?
Yeah, both exciting, beautiful cities. But yeah, this is one of our main offices next to the one in Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur. And it's and we have people across the world, but it's also good to have offices where people meet and work together on creative new things where you need to see each other as well.
So in Some Media, we can get through you a pretty international perspective in the market. And given then Some Media was founded in 2007, pretty good historical view as well, I would say. So based on that, the traditional questions we have here, Perspectives, is what's your view? What's your view now on the mobile entertainment market?
No, well, actually, my main view has never changed. I've always been very optimistic and positive about the market because I very much believe there's a strong need and that consumers have to do things on their phone, either personalization, entertainment, communication, now also shopping, commerce. So that need has always been there. And that's why I always believed that and I've always been very optimistic, even though there have been phases where people in this industry were a little bit more pessimistic about the future. But I think that basic need is there. So if we all focus on addressing those consumer needs, then there is a market and it is very successful and it requires all the players to work together, which is increasingly happening, which is great to see. It's big, it's growing. The exact numbers, there's so many research reports that have the billions here or billions there or percentages growth, which is interesting and gives some context. But I think overall it's positive, it's growing, developing. At the same time, I think it's a little bit less specific mobile. I think the mobile became the primary device for accessing, consuming, and paying for all sorts of digital content, and now also shopping, even physical goods as well. So it's a bit less only the mobile. The mobile is a primary device, but there is a lot behind it as well. So from that perspective, I don't know how much we should focus on defining it as a separate industry. But that notion of mobile being first, that is important, but we should not forget everything else that comes behind it.
That's very true. I remember that, probably in the history, I should say, of MEF itself, the very first few years is, beware, there's something called mobile and it's going to be here and it's going to change things. Today, mobile is so pervasive, which is, we need to tell the other story, which is, it might be the main platform, but there are many other platforms. The experiences now is different, and people expect to maintain their services across the different devices they have, across the different cloud services.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very important. You probably touched already on what I wanted to ask you there, which is founded yourself Some Media in 2007. So you've been where 16 years. You've seen the changes. I mean, probably already 2007. Well, the maximum it was the Java games. It was after ringtones. You were seeing the ringtones, the SMS services, the Java games. And what came next? What have you seen in the market? What is happening right now after the famous value-added services of the 2000s? What is mobile entertainment today? What do you offer?
I think in general, what is important to realize is that technology and the services have been developing hand in hand. So the content and the service could only evolve together with the evolution of the handsets, the processing power, the memory, but also the networks, the bandwidth available. So they enable the development of more rich services. And now we're at the point of 5G. We might touch on that later, but the handsets and the networks came a long way, and now you can offer much more rich services like video, streaming video, the OTT services also available on the mobile, 360 videos using motion sensor, VR, AR, virtual worlds. Now, of course, there's a lot of talk about the metaverse, although many not so clear what it means and how it actually will add value. But yeah, virtual worlds in general, cloud gaming. So yeah, I think where we are now in terms of more advanced services is that VR, AR services, some cloud gaming. We are active in VR, AR services since, well, not the beginning, because the talks have been there forever. Like any technology, it takes much longer than everyone expects in the beginning to become mainstream. But I think we are getting there, and there is useful and exciting services using VR and AR that are mobile content services. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. I think the industry is also at, and I think the lines blur a bit between specific mobile content services and other digital entertainment services, like we just mentioned.
Well, let me take you through the next step, because I like the way you talk about in Assam Media about next generation content, and I'd like to use your strapline to introduce what would be the next generation content. So what can we see in 5 years time? Where is the market going towards? Yeah, to take your crystal ball. Obviously in 5 years time we'll come back to this moment and check if you're right or not.
Now, yeah, what we mean with it, that is that we want to be innovative, and it's also because of who we are, the people here. Our team is like it's a group of creative geeks, I would say, that love to work on new, exciting services and content. But at the same time, we want to make sure it's available for as many people as possible. So sometimes that means, and not everyone likes that, but we have to compromise a little bit on how advanced to make the services or what technology to use. So an example with VR, if you limit it to VR headsets, which would be a more rich experience, more immersive experience, then it's a small market and a small group of users that can actually use it. We are far from people walking in the street with the VR headset. Of course, now Apple Vision Pro, etc. But it's still, that is a long way from being mainstream, I think. So what we also want is that it works on most phones, and that means we often choose for the browser as the platform instead of an app, a native app. Also, we keep in mind what is the bandwidth, what is the processing power required, the memory. So sometimes the services can be more advanced, but we intentionally decide to limit the let's say memory consumption or processing power so that it becomes available for most of the let's say smartphones. And so that will continue to go hand in hand, I think. So there's some things that we can already envision in terms of virtual worlds, for instance, or full AR services. But for most phones, that is still too heavy. But I think in 5 years from now, with even faster networks and more powerful handsets, those things will be available, and there will be a more of an integration, looking at VR and AR between the real world and digital. And I think that's where also we see opportunities, not just virtual worlds, but how do you combine it with the physical world, with the real world? And I think that's where the most exciting and innovative things will happen. But that, does still require a little bit more powerful technology and things becoming mainstream for that to happen. So, yeah.
So the digital and the physical world are coming together in the future. But we, and you mentioned right now, are seeing something pretty powerful, pretty expensive, I would say as well. You mentioned the Apple Vision Pro. These set of technologies, I wouldn't know exactly how to call it because it's so complex in a sense, but allows you to immerse yourself in a virtual and yet to be somehow interactive in the physical world as well. So where is that taking you? Do you think that this product is really going to change the market or is it a bit too early yet? Because of what you were saying, still the industry overall is not there for accessibility.
Yeah, I think eventually it will change the market. I think for now will be some very specific services where it makes sense to use the VR headset. But I think also even the Apple Vision Pro, actually funny, interesting. Last night, our director of products, he's based in New York, so there he could go to the Apple store, have a demo, and also buy an Apple Vision Pro. So we try to use it to see how it is, how we can adapt our services for the Apple Vision Pro, also to understand what it could mean. And his first comments were this morning, yeah, it is the future, it's exciting, at the same time it's still, it's not you're still in your own world, and it's yes, semi-transparent. Apple claims you can see your eyes, etc., but it's still too much of a closed environment. I think there's still some way to go, but yeah, and also I don't think people will start wearing VR headsets, no matter how beautiful, if Apple does it or other vendors will come out, but for some time to come, especially not on the street or in public transport, or so yes, maybe at home or in an educational setting or in a business setting like a hospital where it can be used. So yeah, as long as it, and then indeed the price. I mean, who can afford a $3,000 headset? I mean, phones are already costly, but
Yeah.
this is another level. So, but yeah, at the same time, what is really cool about it is you can let's say in your kitchen you project a screen where there's recipe videos shown, but in your living, then you walk around to your living, then there is videos or Netflix is being shown on a screen that is projected in your Apple Vision Pro or other headset. So you can make it relevant to where you are. That instead of having to just one screen where you either see the recipe videos or see the movie you want to watch, or the series you're following. So it will allow for these things, and I think that will make it more relevant for the consumer. But yeah, that also requires quite some development still in the services, but we see it as a platform where we can also where users can consume our services in addition to other platforms. So like we mentioned before, we established before the handset, but there's also other platforms. I think same will go here. Not everything will be in a VR headset. There will still be people consuming for a long time and for a lot of time on the phone or on a PC or on a tablet. But yeah, it is exciting, as you may sense from my.
Well, it is a future. It's exciting, and it's probably a combination of so much technology development that is exciting just for the pure fan of it or as a technophile. But if you were a mobile operator today, and thinking about potentially Apple Vision Pro, that's potentially a bit too far away. But some media has invested in augmented reality and virtual reality already, and for quite a while. So
Yeah.
I suspect that something is possible to be done. But is it easy? What have you learned so far from these services? What would you tell a mobile operator that they can do or shouldn't do?
No, yeah, various things. One is what I just mentioned, that yeah, if you want to make it available for many of the users or many of the operators' customers, then you should limit yourself or at least compromise on some of the features, so that it works on most phones, that it can work in the browser. Most of the VR headsets, they also support the browser, so you can consume it there, but you can also consume it just holding your phone and with the motion sensor. It is already a special experience, much richer than just normal flat services. So that is one of our messages to carrier. It's there now. You're going to have an attractive service for consumers, for your customers today that is advanced, that is VR, that is AR, using it in a relevant way, because that's my next point. You can make it a gimmick, just project some dinosaur on a table, but that's not really adding anything to it. So you need to think about how to make it relevant, how to use VR, AR to make it relevant. So we have one service is XR Academy. It's casual education where you in a 3D world. For instance, you can walk around a 3D model of the human body. You can look at body parts. You get explanation. You can answer some questions, or the solar system, or the animal kingdom, where there's 3D models of animals, and you can turn them around, look at them. So there, it really adds value. At least we believe so, and it's also what resonates with carriers. So yeah, you need to move away from the gimmick, because that, okay, in school, the first time you see something VR or AR, you see a lion on your table, but that's only cool one time, and maybe you take a picture and you share it with friends, but that's not something you're going to use again and again and again. So in order to get there, and you want user engagement, then you need to make it more relevant. Use VR and AR to add value to a service, and not just present it as a gimmick. But also to carriers, what is important, I think, that because 5G is there, and we see it as an enabler for these kind of services. And carriers, they need use cases for 5G, because if you sell 5G to a consumer, then they have no idea what it is, understandably. I mean, in the old days, there was GPRS, and I was working at the carrier, and we had to start selling GPRS. And also, how are you going to explain that? How can you convince a user to buy GPRS handset or more expensive package bundle, including GPRS? So the same, I think, with 5G. And there was an interesting example. We had one carrier partner that was driving on the highway, and there was a billboard of his own carrier advertising 5G, and then with a VR headset, someone and using 5G, and then he realized, oh, we don't even have one VR service, or we don't have these services. So then he saw one of our videos, I think it was for the MEF Awards, and then he contacted us like, oh, we need services like that. We need them to sell 5G. So yeah, it's also an opportunity for us in that sense.
That was great. So we touched on 5G as well, which is one of the big discussions still around. And I like the way content and scenes for cloud gaming, virtual reality, has always been there as a case study. So it's always been very strong. But talking about buzzwords, and there is strong discussion right now, another one would be AI. And there is a lot of talk about AI everywhere. Now, specifically, I would say generative AI and content. Is that something that should impact your work? Is it going to be a threat for mobile, or is it going to be a great tool for you? How do you see AI, friend or foe?
Now, yeah, actually, I think it took the world by surprise. Also, I think only experts were aware by the end. I think it was the end of 2022, when suddenly it reached a tipping point where it became widely available with ChatGPT, available to consumers for people to use it. And to me, it was a moment. Also, reading about it, like, I'm old enough to have witnessed the birth of the internet, and then now I wish I realized what the impact and opportunities would be, and I could have done a lot more with it. So that's what I, as an old man's talk, say here to the team. Please be aware. This is a game changer. This is something we need to learn. Nobody knows exactly what the impact will be, but you have to start playing with it. You have to use it, try things. So we got accounts, business accounts. We encourage people to use it. Now we even set as a target for each team to prove a case of using AI in day-to-day business. So that is targets they have. People, and some people already start using it. Like I said, we have these creative geeks. They want to start playing with this kind of technology as soon as possible. And what we learned so far, there's two main areas where to use it. One is efficiency. Certain things can be done by AI. There's even some coding done by AI. Of course, still needs to be reviewed by a developer. Translations for some of the content, because we are live in so many markets. So we need to always translate, at least as part of localization. So some of that is done by AI now. Of course, everything still needs a quality check by a human. And the other is indeed in terms of products, like then you talk about generative AI. There's a lot will happen at the same time. I think still you need to think, what is the concept, what is the idea, because it's also everything is possible. And what is then the product? So people also like something specific that really addresses a certain need, so you can use it to interact, like with an anime character, for instance, and then so then it makes sense. But and it uses the same like tool or the same technology that can do a lot more. But if you present it like that, no, people don't know how to use it. So our role is to package it and to translate it in something that is addressing a specific need, But yeah, you can in video, in image creation. But I think, yeah, users like to generate things. You have all these filters that were so successful and are still successful. This is also another option there. So, well, as you can maybe sense, we are also still figuring out how to use it in our products. But yeah, one use case is also you stand in front of the camera and you do exercises, and then using AI, the service detects what you're doing, whether you're exercising, you're doing the exercise correctly, whether your position is correct. So that is a specific use case. That's not so easy to get it right with mobile camera, but and there are some, I think, good examples already more in the medical sphere. But to translate that into a consumer product, that's another step. But yeah, that I think is another interesting venue.
And that was a MobiFit, right? Your product on an AI assisted trainer, which you offer as well. So, which gives me a little reflection. That is not what I would have traditionally defined as a mobile entertainment product. But where is entertainment going? Is it just entertainment, or is now utility? Is it well-being? Is it time spent on yourself rather than entertaining yourself? Where is the market going in that direction?
Yeah, I think there is a big market. People like to not only entertain themselves, but people also like to develop. We also found that this educational service we have, it's casual education. It's not curriculum based. It's casual education. It's XR Academy. It does resonate well, and people actually use it a lot more than some of the other services. And I think people like to learn. People are interested, and this way it becomes more exciting to learn something in a casual way. Um, Even we bringing this now to the next level, also with the carrier partner. In this case, it's MTN in South Africa. They have a back to school bundle where they have a few educational services bundled together with the SIM card as an offer for back to school at the end of the school holiday. And yeah, they work together also with Oxford Book Publishing, and they have people that go to the schools, also in rural areas. And these schools cannot afford 3D models of the human body, for instance. But if they have a carton headset that can be MTN branded or some media branded, or we can be happy to sponsor that. And then the teacher can, with his phone or her phone, show to the kids a 3D model of the human body using XR Academy, our casual education service. But that also touches on, okay, we need to make that more relevant for the South African educational system and curriculum. So there we need to do some proper localization, not just translation, but also maybe, and that we are working on at the moment, adding content that's more relevant for this local market. So I think there's a lot there, and also carriers, I think, increasingly start to be involved in these things. So for MTN, this is also very important. They want to be part of digitalization of education, and yeah, that is great to see, and we're happy to support such initiatives.
Well, you're touching the international aspect of some media, because when I look at you, you got 90 mobile operators in 46 countries represented there in your connection of services. So let's talk about the regionalization or the geographic differences. Are there the differences? Is a world the same, or is it you can see something trending in one place which is not somewhere else?
Yeah, of course, there is these, but I think first and foremost, I always believe the basic needs are the same, and the form that it gets that can be different, of course. Like the obvious examples, like in Japan, for instance, they like more of the cartoonish design. I saw the virtual world that SK Telecom South Korea launched. Yeah, that is more of a cartoonish design, but it's still the same concept as another virtual world that would be in the United States or in Latin America. So I think the basic needs are really the same, but you need to localize the form and shape. So that's design, that's language. Yeah, and a little bit difference in how people use things. But yeah, but yeah, sometimes you need to go deeper, like the example I just gave with MTN. If it's like proper education, if it goes to schools, then you cannot suffice with the same because part of it is also art, history. Maybe that's not the first priority for certain age school kids in South Africa, and then it's mainly European art. Of course, it's also limited because there's a lot of stunning African art, so there we need to make it more relevant for the local users. So yeah, a balance, because also in terms of cost, obviously, if you develop for each individual market, then at some point that's not worth it. So we also need to keep an eye on the business case. But yeah, some localization is key in any market, and it's more than just translation. It's really also sometimes often design of the product and also the marketing.
So you say localization is important, but that's a kind of a human need, the one you kind of offering. It's universal, and in itself, everybody wants to have the time to entertain themselves, to do something else, and potentially, as we've seen, entertainment to entertain and maybe sometimes learn or improve their life. Let's talk about your life then, because one thing that I do like asking in general when in these options of having half an hour with somebody, which is great, is how did you come to do something? And I'm a great believer in serendipity. Some people are very good at planning, but sometimes you just learn as you go along. And I would say, did you learn? I mean, in your experience, you were working in a mobile operator, and you end up now serving them and working with them, but only for 2 years. But you're working in a very exciting operation, as you say, an operator I really learned to love as I was working since the beginning. Ben in the Netherlands. How was that? And you were there working on VAS. I mean, you were the senior product manager for VAS and mobile entertainment. What did that experience give you? And is it something that you learned, hence you focused you later on in life to work and found some media?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Of course, you're also sometimes wondering why you do certain things. My parents were of the hippie age era, so they had other things to fight for, like more free education, some more political issues, topics, the time of the Vietnam War, etc., etc. So. But yeah, in the Netherlands, especially, you grow up, you go to university. After that, some solid work experience. Life is relatively easy. Of course, Netherlands has its own problems, and every person has problems. But I always try to understand, why did I start climbing mountains? Why did I decide to leave the Netherlands and move abroad without a job? And I think part is that to challenge myself. I've always been very curious. My mom always called me inventor. I was always, building things and with Lego, but later huts and carts and all sorts of tools. So I think, that always been driving me. I also studied industrial design engineering. It's also about innovation, new products. So that curiosity and drive to create something new, that is, I think, a line in my career. But that was the era that by then there was not an MVNO, it was an actual mobile operator founded by Belgacom and Tele Denmark, when the new GSM licenses were auctioned in the Netherlands, and it was a very innovative new operator, startup operator. So there are opportunities there that you would never get at an incumbent. So there was a lot of young people that had responsibilities. Again, you would never have at one of the bigger established players. A very exciting culture, and then I, without much experience in that area, could take up the role of managing the content services. That was the Ben branded content services. Then operators were a lot more involved still in running their own services. So we had chat on text TV, with MTV, with the Dutch MTV. We did a first mobile lottery. And we started to work with partners also around there was European Championship football, and so a lot of it external partners as well that wanted to work with the carrier. So I started to learn how they think and also how the carrier thinks and what is key for mobile operators, customer service, but also the billing system and the infrastructure. Then Ben was sold to T-Mobile, and we became sort of a province of Germany, as in we had very little to say about which products and how to do marketing. Everything turned from blue to pink. So to me, that was less interesting, and then I felt, okay, this is the moment to leave. Although I had a fantastic team and life in Amsterdam, but yeah, I always wanted to work abroad as well. And after I graduated, I traveled. So I decided, okay, 1 year from now, I'm out of here. So I started to save money, first time in my life. And then I bought a one-way ticket to Tehran, actually,
Wow.
in Iran. And that was shortly after 9/11, but it was a fantastic time in Iran. The people there, they're very friendly, very welcoming. And then I traveled for 6 months also to all the stans, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, etc., Kazakhstan, and Tibet, China. And I ended in Hong Kong. And that was my plan to work there because the mobile industry was similar to the Netherlands, as in 5 operators, very competitive, same technology. So I thought, okay, I should be able to find a job there. Then I went for a job interview, and then it turned out it was a lot more Chinese speaking than I had anticipated. So I was not so well prepared. So yeah, that was difficult. I like my experience, but I had to be a Chinese speaker, and okay, that was not going to work. So then I found something in China, in Beijing, and for an incubator. That was a startup. I didn't earn anything or a very little base, and we had to start up a content provider. So that was in line with the experience with some American investors, and China was hot at the time because that was shortly after the internet boom bursted in the US. So yeah, and that was established, and then in Shanghai, but then also then became more also more local, more Chinese, and some limitations because of the changes at the mobile operators there. So then I got the opportunity to work for a Dutch company, Amexus, that wanted to start an office in Asia, in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysia. So I moved there for them, and there I set up the legal entity. I built a team, found the office, and I managed the business for that region, for the APAC region, because many of their clients, which are now their content providers, like who are now our competitors, many of their clients wanted to grow the business in Asia. So that I think there I learned how to set up a company, how to run a company without it being my own company. So after that, it was being sold, and then I felt, okay, now it's time to do something for myself. The way I'm raised is also anti-authoritarian. So so I want to have the freedom to take decisions. I want the freedom to move left or right, and the best way is eventually to have something for yourself that you can take those decisions. Of course, with all the responsibility that comes with it, especially when you employ people. But so then I decided to start with some media, and that's also why we started in Asia, and at the MEF event at our office in Kuala Lumpur this January. I said it, we are proud that we started in Asia. Our first office was in Malaysia, and only later we opened the office in Amsterdam.
And we go, and so you became your own boss, fighting authoritarians. And there was a circle starts because we come back, and then you had your international, your Asian experiences, your mobile operators, your understanding of mobile operators, and you used it for the mobile entertainment for 16 years. So congratulations on that, of the longevity of some media, and many more soon. I would say adulthood coming soon in a couple of years. Some media is going to be mature, an 18-year-old company. Well,
You hope
will it
so,
become very, more serious? I don't believe so. It's still mobile entertainment. You're going to be challenging and innovative as always. But in terms of the times that we have for today, and that we will open another chapter, we will go and continue discussion in future. But the perspective times is finished. That's a half an hour that we have used. And before the last words that you would like to say about this market or your company or your experience, what would that be, Alexis?
No, I think in the end, it's all about people, and there's a lot more data. We're also data driven. You can measure everything, but what I really like, and also in this industry, and also what MEF is a platform for, is working with other people. Indeed, it's been a long time, so many of these people also became friends, also our competitors, and I very much believe everyone will benefit from this cooperation, both in regulation, in innovation, in running a sustainable profitable business. So yeah, that part I really enjoy, and I think that is still improving. And there's still some work to do, but it is improving. Working with carriers, working with the payment providers, working with the content owners, like sometimes licensing content, and also internally, our people is the main thing. And yeah, one of the reasons for starting some media is also, well, first to create interesting job for myself, but also create interesting work for many other people. And I'm very proud that we can do that now for about 100 people. And yeah, that is a great thing to see.
Well, great. And it was a great talking to you, Alexis. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Until
Dario.
the next time where we're going to have a chance to meet and discuss more. But for now, is a big thanks to Alexis Bartelds, the co-founder of Some Media. Thanks, Alexis, again.
Thank you so much, Dario. It was a real pleasure.
Bye-bye then.
Cheers. Bye.